I'm joined here with American author Rachel Tamayo. Now, you recently released your newest novel, Carnal Knowledge. So, what can readers expect in this book?
This is a dark psychological thriller. It's a serial killer novel, but it's different. I can safely say that it's different probably than any serial killer novel that you've probably ever read. And the ending, you're never ever gonna guess how it ends. You will never guess the ending. I'm as out of all the books I've written, I think that ending is the best one I've ever written.
And, with your newest book, you also announced that you'll be dedicating 50% of your overall sales to support postpartum depression. So, what went into that decision?
Well, the funny thing is I got into actually TikTok, believe it or not, just on kind of a whim. And I watched it for a little while before I started posting videos, and I started posting videos about I was a 911 operator for a lot of years. And I started posting, stories about that and, the ins and outs of being a dispatcher and all those things. And one of my videos went viral, like 2 million views viral. And there's so many comments because of the content of the video about postpartum depression and the help that it needs, and just the discussion that was going on. There's thousands of comments about it. So I just decided, is one thing I could do to bring attention to something that needs attention brought to it, because women are so ashamed when they have postpartum, but so many women have it. You shouldn't be ashamed about it. So maybe if I can just help just a little bit, bring attention to it, it'll help somebody.
And then you also said that this will also not only women, but will help men who are suffering from that. So, do you think that's also another thing that people really, push under the rug and don't really talk about a lot?
Yes, and honestly, when I was doing the research on doing the donation, it popped up that men with postpartum, and I don't think it's going to be the same sort of postpartum, because it's obviously not going to come from hormones. But I think in that sense, it's a postpartum is such a drastic lifestyle change after the baby comes, and I think men can go through a form of postpartum on their own, and I think definitely, it's definitely not as drastic and severe as what women have, though. I've never heard of it ever happening that badly with men, but definitely needs to be addressed.
Yeah, and you recently reached the number one spot in Canada with your novel Lucifer's Game. So can you give me some background into that book?
Yeah, that book is the only supernatural thriller that I've ever written. I was one day I was driving home from the grocery store with my kids in the car, and I was listening to the radio, and Sympathy for the Devil came on the radio by the Rolling Stones. And, your mind starts to wonder, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, what if the devil was walking around, like a man, like a person? And what if this? And my mind just starts rolling, with it. And Lucifer's Game was born, which is basically about it's sort of he's trying to stop the apocalypse from happening, uh, basically, and what happens to him. And this woman's involved, and it's just a whole big thing. So. Mhm.
And seeing that you did reach number one in Canada, what is it like for you to see that you are gaining success in a different country?
I'm thrilled. My one of my other books, Break My Bones, was a bestseller in Canada too. It never hit number one, but it did. It was like number 26, I think, last year at one point, right around this time on Amazon in Canada. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, and where can people get the books if they are looking?
Amazon, they're all over Amazon. You can get them on Apple. As far as the ebooks, pretty much anywhere you can find books, you'll find them.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.